person of interest is in custody after 6 people were shot and killed during a July 4th parade. It happened yesterday in Highland Park, Illinois. That's just north of Chicago. Kris Van Cleave is there with the latest on this. Kris, good morning.
Good morning, Anne Marie. People here in Highland Park are waking up with a new reality, a reality that many cities in this country, too many, already know, being added to the list of communities that have suffered these kinds of losses due to mass shootings and gun violence. I want to step out of the way, and you'll get a sense for a moment frozen in time. The toppled over chairs, the beach ball, the water bottles, the things left behind as people literally ran for their lives. Now, as you said, there is a person of interest who is in custody. That person is yet to be charged. We talked to a witness who described the aftermath of the shooting, and it was gruesome. Gunshots rang out in the Chicago suburb of Highland Park at the community's 4th of July parade. Police say a gunman positioned on top of a nearby building fired a high-power rifle at the crowd below, killing 6 and injuring at least 24 more. The victims ranged in age from 8 to 85. People in the crowd ran for cover in nearby businesses. Parents grabbed their children and fled.
I put my son in a dumpster, and he sat there with his dog. And I went back to look for the rest of my family.
All I thought about is just, getting my daughter to safety, and I ran with her.
Police identified 21-year-old Robert Bobby Cremo III as a person of interest. They say he left the scene in a vehicle and was captured more than 8 hours later after a brief pursuit. Cremo was apparently an aspiring musician. Videos posted to YouTube, which have since been taken down, show disturbing images alluding to gun violence.
I'm so sorry, from the bottom of my heart.
The 21-year-old lived with his uncle, Paul Cremo. He told our Chicago station WBBM he's heartbroken for the victims.
There's no indication that I've seen at all that would lead up to this.
And there was multiple pop, 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 pop.
Miles Zaremski was just arriving at the parade when the shooter opened fire.
And then it was a stampede of people
Running away. It was frightening to see. And it's like being in a war zone. And then I started seeing blood on the ground. 2 of those killed have been identified. Nicholas Toledo, a grandfather visiting family, and Jackie Sundheim, a local teacher. Another teacher, Zoe Kolpak, along with members of her family, are hospitalized after being shot in front of her 2 children. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker said the gunman will be held accountable.
It is devastating that a celebration of America was ripped apart by our uniquely American plague.
Now, the person of interest is in custody, has not yet been charged. 25 people with gunshot wounds were taken to a nearby hospital here. Within 12 hours, 19 of them had been treated and released. We understand at least 4 of the patients taken to that hospital were children. Anne Marie.
Kris, when the shooting happened, I sort of quickly Googled Highland Park because I had never heard of it before. And you get, a couple of descriptive words. It's a suburb, affluent, but I know that does not sum up this community. What have you learned about this community, and how are people reacting?
Well, you hear the things that unfortunately you hear every time we cover one of these mass shootings. It's this idea that if it could happen here, it could happen everywhere or anywhere, and just a level of disbelief that it happened. We were just talking to a doctor who was here with his family, who was just up the street a ways when the shooting happened. He got his family out and went back to render aid. You're hearing a lot of stories about a community coming together, an injured person flagging down a car and a stranger driving them to the hospital, a man that grabbed his 2 kids, put them in a dumpster for protection, and then had to go find his 3rd child and asked a stranger just to watch over the kids while he was trying to track down another loved one. We're starting to hear stories like that, a community coming together, but also a community in shock. And of course, as we learn more about the 6 lives lost, that will become even more real. That loss will become real.
Talking about the victims, we saw some information about at least 2 of the victims in your story. Can you give us any more information? What are we learning?
Sure. Mr. Toledo was in town from Mexico. He's a grandfather, was visiting his family here. One of his granddaughters spoke with CBS Chicago WBBM by phone and said that the family was excited to go to the parade. He was excited to be here and be spending time with his family. We also have heard about Jackie Sundheim. She worked at a nearby synagogue. She started as teaching classes there, and a longtime member of that community. The statement that was released there by the North Shore Congregational Israel, there are no words sufficient to express the depth of our grief for Jackie's death and sympathy for her family and loved ones. There's a lot of broken hearts across this community here as they try to process the loss that has befallen Highland Park.
Yeah, no doubt. In regards to the shooter, we know that he had access to the rooftop of a store. Do we know how he got up there and anything about the weapons used?
Well, police have described the weapon that was used as a high-powered rifle. That doctor, he's a surgeon who went back to help, described the wounds as military-type, war-type injuries that he saw on people. So a high-powered rifle, it was recovered at the scene. That will certainly help the investigation. How he got access to the roof will be something police will be looking at. We understand that one of the elements that was very helpful in quickly identifying this person of interest was video evidence. Think back to the Boston Marathon bombing case, and there are security cameras, all over as part of our daily lives. Some of those cameras captured video either leading up to or perhaps of the shooting that helped identify this suspect, perhaps identify his escape vehicle. And I understand from police sources I've been in touch with that was a factor in being able to so quickly identify him, because they believe this person of interest essentially took advantage of the chaos to slip away in the crowd.
Wow. Kris Van Cleave, thank you very much.
Sure thing.